Okay, thanks, Jordan. All right, injury front, just an update. Ethan Posick will be out for the season. He's getting surgery. He tore his Achilles. So obviously, feeling for Ethan. He's a huge part of our team, of our offense. We've relied heavily on him, having a veteran center in there. So disappointed for him, but I know he will bounce back. He's got the right attitude, as you guys would imagine, but disappointed for Ethan. Obviously, that game doesn't go our way, and just trying to talk through it with the team this morning on the things that the reasons for that and the things that we can do better, the things that we have to do better as a football team, offense, defense, special teams, player coaches, things that we have to improve upon in games like that. So it's frustrating. We got to learn from it, and then we'll move on to Chicago. With that, I'll take any questions.
First question will go to Mary Kay.
Yeah, Kevin, just wondering, is Shedeur Sanders your starter now for the rest of the season?
Yes.
Okay. And what is your thinking behind that?
I think all along, Mary Kay, as you know, with our quarterbacks and our young players, you're always making sure that you're making the right decisions for our guys. And I think he has constantly and consistently gotten better in each one of these games and how he's approached this game. He's been working very hard. So I feel good about where his development is heading. He knows there are always going to be plays that he can be better and those type of things. But he's very intentional about getting better each and every game he's out there.
Has anything surprised you about his development over these past 3 starts?
No, I wouldn't. I don't know. Surprise is the word, Mary Kay. I think, again, we've been around each other now going back to April, so I've seen constant improvement in a bunch of areas. But I also saw in that game some areas of improvement in some areas that we asked him to improve upon, and I think that's the fun part of coaching is developing players and giving them tools to improve in certain areas, if you will. And I think the fun part is when you have players like Shedeur, like our rookies, whomever it may be, that are very intentional about their own development as well.
Thank you.
All right, next we're going to Daryl.
Yeah, Kevin, I wanted to ask about the 2-point conversion philosophy. I know that you guys use the probabilities and all those type of things when making those particular decisions about going for 2. I guess my question is, like, you guys have been doing this for a long time, and the wins and losses don't seem to be equating that. My question is, how much of game flow and that factor in, and can they outweigh just the probabilities of, hey, you're down 14, you just scored, go ahead and go for 2, so it informs you whether or not you should kick 1 or 2 on that second touchdown. I'm trying to understand, like, the process and the philosophy there with going for 2 with that first touchdown scored when you're down 14.
Yeah, well, I think you understand the philosophy behind it. I think I have to go into every game understanding our team, their team, the matchups, the plays that we have available to us. Do we like them? Do we not? Those are the type of decisions that factor into the game. Obviously, you take all that information in, Daryl, as you know, in all your decisions that you make. But ultimately, you're making decisions based on the game that you're playing and what's in front of you.
And then just a question about Shedeur and just his progress, similar to what Mary Kay was asking. The fact that he put up 4 touchdowns in just his third start versus what he did in that first start at Las Vegas, just how pleasantly surprised are you with his progression in such a short timeline, considering maybe how far he might have been behind in training camp and maybe the first quarter of the season?
Yeah, again, not maybe the terms I'd use other than tell you I've been really impressed by his work ethic, and that's going back to since the moment he got here. That's what we've been striving to work with him and with all of our guys. As you know, it's been a huge area for us is player development of all of our players, and I think the guys, when they embrace it, that's the fun part where you get to see these guys making strides. So he's still very early into his career, and he would tell you the same. You want to have constant improvement in everything you're doing. There's moments in these games that come up that are hard to replicate in practice. You can talk through them on tape. You can talk through them in a walkthrough, and then you get the rep in a game, and that's the most valuable learning tool you can have. And I think he will only take all of that and use that to his development moving forward.
Next we'll go to Scott.
Hey, Kevin, couple other injury questions. Do you have an update on Denzel and David coming out of the game?
Yeah, no update other than to say we'll see how they are come Wednesday.
Jack still in the protocol?
Yes.
Wyatt out this week?
Yes.
Okay. And then after, with time to reflect on it, the idea of going with the hot hand with Shedeur on that last 2-point conversion, do you have any second thoughts about it? I understand, why he went to the Wildcat, but the fact that he'd been playing so well, does that make you think twice about it?
Listen, when you come up short like you do, you think about everything and what you could do differently. Obviously, when you get in those moments, you have the calls ready to roll and plays that you've talked about pre-game and throughout the week. There are going to be times where you want to call back. There will be times where you have success and it didn't come off exactly how you wanted it. But bottom line is, we came up short in both those tries, and that's where I have to look at it and say, are there things that we can do better? And that's my job to look at it constantly.
Thanks.
Next we'll go to Chris.
Hey, Kevin, I wanted to ask you about with Ethan out. I'm assuming Luke will be the starter against Chicago.
Yes.
Is there some benefit, at least in the transition, that Shedeur has worked a lot with Luke over the course of the offseason and everything, in terms of that connection between the quarterback and center?
Yeah, I understand the question potentially, but I think those guys all work really well together. Throughout this offseason, Chris, they've all kind of gotten reps with different guys. So I think Luke's somebody that, when you're playing that position, the center position, we put a lot on your plate. And when you're working with Poe and your Poe's backup, you really have to lock in and understand all that. And Luke has worked very hard. So he's done a nice job of making sure he's ready to roll in any instance that we may need him. And I think he'll be ready to roll in this one.
One last question then on Shedeur and just his pocket presence and, how, one of the issues it seemed like he had early on was drifting a lot, and drifting backwards. It seems like he's doing a better job, more consistent job of staying within the pocket, getting out obviously when he needs to, but just how have you seen him grow in that regard in his game?
Yeah, that's definitely been a area of focus for him that I think he continues to improve. I think there were multiple plays in that game where there was really good evidence of really good footwork that you can coach off of, that you want to, point out that this is exactly drill work. This is what you're working on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It's showing up here on Sunday.
Thanks.
All right, next go to Tony.
Kevin, hi. Was it a mistake not to start Shedeur earlier?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into those type of things, Tony. I'm obviously focused on what's in front of us.
About the second 2-point conversion, Batonio said after the game, you guys were repping that play back in Philadelphia. I remember seeing it myself. But the fact is, Judkins was not with you in Philadelphia. So did he get reps Friday on that play?
He did.
How'd he do?
We ran the play. So, Tony, bottom line is we'll always look at things that we can do better, but I trust our guys. We work hard during the week to rep plays that we may play, that you may show in the game. But that was not the issue there.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, next go to Ashley.
Hey, Kevin, I had a question about the first 2-point conversion attempt. So I guess following up on what Chris was asking, was there an issue with the snap with Luke being in at that point and Ethan having come out? And was there any confusion just on the snap itself?
Yeah, no confusion in the snap. Obviously, center quarterback exchanges, you don't want them to show up in a game like that. Those guys have had plenty of reps together. That you get reps before and after a series, those type of things. So that was unfortunate for that to happen at that moment.
And then, like, when the ball came out, it looked like kind of like multiple guys on both teams just standing around for a second or two. Like, was there just confusion on
Yeah, it
on what
appeared.
happened, like the rules, or what do you think
No,
happened?
we actually just watched a play on Friday from the Miami New Orleans game where there was an interception that went back on a 2-point play, which is a pick two. You get 2 points for it. So we just looked at that. It appeared to me like we touched him down. Now we didn't look at it any closer because the result was what it was. But the guys know the rules there.
Okay, thanks.
All right, next go to Jeff.
Hey, Kevin, I have two questions. 2 years ago, your special teams were really good. Why do you think there have been so many issues this year?
Yeah, it's something that we look at really week to week, Jeff, on things that we can improve upon. Obviously, disappointed in yesterday and some of the things that happened yesterday that can't happen, but that's something we look at every week.
And then your defense has been so good against the run. What happened there yesterday?
Yeah, like you said, we've been very good in that area. It was uncharacteristic for us. We'll get back to work.
All right, thank you.
All right, next we'll go to Cam.
Hey, Kevin, kind of off of that run stop and defense question. Obviously, your first game without Malik Collins, was any of that felt? Maybe the loss of him and trying to, as you said, you can't replace him. You just have to have guys step up for him. Maybe the ramping up and getting them used to that kind of role.
Cam, obviously Malik's a big part of who we are and our success and our, our culture and all those things. So of course you're going to miss him, but we expect the guys that are in there to do their job.
And sticking on the defense, Alex Wright, Isaiah McGuire able to go in that one. Did you see them need to maybe ramp up a little bit at coming back from their injuries? And what are you expecting from them in these last four?
No, I thought there were some good moments from both those guys. Obviously, when you're coming off injury, you're definitely only going to improve. So I think they'll be even better next week.
Thanks.
All right, we'll go to Joe.
Kevin, just on analytics in general, because I know everybody uses them a lot throughout the league now, especially you guys. How much do you balance the analytics and the numbers over maybe having a young roster when it comes to making the decisions like going for two and all of that?
Yeah, I don't know if the young roster necessarily factors into that decision, Joe. I think every decision you make is based on, I mean, you can say analytics, but, how good the defense is on a short yardage, what their percentage is of stopping the other team is statistics and use that to make your decisions. And then you look at the matchups and your players versus their players. So I think it's certainly a tool and it's information to take in, but I think there's so much that goes into the decisions when you're making them. The decision to go for two when you're down, to start the series at 14, that's also based on the plays you have available to you, the matchups, those type of things. So I don't think it's ever just a black and white picture, if you will.
And then just game Sunday, I think 230 receiving yards after the catch. It seems like Shedeur, during his 3 starts, has been good about finding the open receivers and letting them operate in open space. Is that one of the areas of his game where you've seen progress too, where you've been able to get yards after the catch where maybe you didn't early in the season?
I don't know. I wouldn't compare it to early in the season. I would tell you when you talk about rack and those type of things, I think it's there's a lot of dimensions to that, but certainly the accuracy of the throw factors into it. When you put the throw where the receiver or the tight end or the running back doesn't have to break stride, that allows you to maximize your speed throughout the route and into the play. And then it's the receivers winning versus man. I think Jerry's route, his big touchdown was versus man. He won, and he won with a lot of separation. So I think it all factors into it.
Okay, thanks.
All right, a few more, Mary Kay.
Yeah, just wondering, Kevin, now that you guys are officially eliminated from playoff contention, what's your confidence level that you have the infrastructure, the leadership group in place to make sure that these guys are going to be out there just fighting all the way to the end and playing as hard as they have been?
Yeah, we know it's in front of us, Mary Kay, and that's all that we'll focus on. We got a big test this week in Chicago. That's the most important thing in front of us.
Okay, thank you.
Tony,
Thank you. You hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Kevin, when you guys broke down the 53 roster in September with 13 or 14 rookies, first-year players, how much of an understanding was there in the organization that this was going to be tough to win with that many rookies? And has your expectations overall been higher or lower than what we're getting here at 3 and 10?
Yeah, all I would tell you, Tony, is that the guys who are on the roster are guys that I trust, we trust. I don't get caught up in that type of thing other than to say that these young players that we're counting on continue to get better, and they got the right attitude.
all right, last one from Scott.
Kevin, I guess it relates to what Tony just asked you, but given you're playing so many rookies, especially on offense in key roles, is it just a cost of doing business that there's going to be mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes are in really critical moments?
I mean, in the sense that young players make mistakes, sure, but we trust our guys. These guys, part of making a mistake is you're learning from it and you're going to get better at it. I've told you guys many, many times, and this is still true, that this rookie class, especially the rookie class, because we're talking about them, they have the right attitude. They've worked like crazy since the moment they've been here. They keep the main thing, and that's what we'll continue to do. We'll just focus on the work and what's in front of us.
And I guess specifically after like the 2-point play with Quinshon, like what do you say to him when it doesn't go like you guys wanted it to go?
Yeah, I'll keep all those conversations between our guys internal, but we trust Quinshon. I trust all of our young guys, and we'll just continue to work at it, and that's what we'll do.
Thanks.
All right, that wraps us up. Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Well, you guys know when Dylan or Alex are on the way. All right, looks like Alex is ready. If you guys want to get your questions together, we'll call on you. All right, everyone, we have Alex here. If you have a question, raise your hand and we will call on you. All right, first question, we'll go to Ashley.
Hey Alex, I just want to start asking about the run defense yesterday, and especially from watching the film back, what were they able to do against you guys, especially Pollard on those couple of really long runs?
I mean, the runs were pretty simple. I'm gonna just say that we didn't do what we were supposed to do. That's something that we practiced all week and stuff like that. Just and the crazy part is, it was just little tweaks, little alignments and stuff like that. Which could have helped a whole lot better. So just watching the film and stuff like that, when you look back on the film, it's really not much of what they did. Don't get me wrong, but that's they had a good run plan, but just looking back at it, we kind of messed ourselves up, and that's just starting where we supposed to be, in our gaps and stuff like that, just little tweaks and stuff that we were supposed to be that we wasn't in. So just certain stuff that we can't do, because there will be, good backs like Pollard that is gonna make us regret it if we don't, handle our responsibility. So, and that just wasn't us.
And then I wanted to ask you about Miles's sack because I know you were right there too. Was that an instance where you were you trying to help him get that solo sack? I saw you guys laughing on the sideline after. It looked like maybe you kind of corralled him towards Miles a little bit. So what went on that play?
I knew that I got the sack with somebody, but I didn't know who it was until, I got up and I turned around and it was like, oh, it was Miles. I was like, okay. So then they look at the film. Like I thought I got to him first and stuff like
Yeah.
that. We just cracking jokes and stuff like that. I was like, yeah. I said, I probably pushed him to you, just like you said. I said I probably did push you to you. I'm just trying to help you get to your record. And he was like, nah, get your sacks, get what you going. I said, okay, but what I'm saying, if it do come out, people speculating that I helped you and stuff like that, I will be looking for a reward, like stuff like that. We're just joking around, but just we just trying to rush as a unit. That's all, and when we get our chance to rush this, but at first we have to stop the run. But if we stop the run, then we get a chance to rush, and when we get a chance to rush, things like that will happen.
All right. Thanks, Alex.
All right, next go to Jeff.
Hey, I was going to ask you about the run defense too. So then I'll amend that question. Are the teams that you're playing these last 4 weeks, are they going to watch that film and say, hey, now we could have success doing this against the Browns?
I mean, it's a copycat league. I mean, it would be, bad to not think that, if they was the opposing team. I mean, the way I look at it is you look at film to study your opponent and know what, of course, the ins and outs, what they struggle with, what are they good at, what are their perks, what are the pros, what are the cons, just looking at, the little stuff that leads up to the big pictures. It's kind of like drawing bowls and stuff like that. What can we use against them and stuff like that? So at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure they will. But at the end of the day, it's about, what we have going on to prevent it from being like a chain of events, like kind of like just I want to say a chain of events, like just stop the train while it's ahead. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much what it is. I mean, we're going against Chicago next week, and they got Ben Johnson as the head coach, so the type of the offensive schemes he put together. That's just about every run play, every type of run that they have, they can utilize. So I'm pretty sure they will look at this game and go to the drawing board. But at the end of the day, it's about us getting better and going back to the day one basis of who we are. So, and that begins with stopping the run. We can't rush without, if we want to rush the pass, we got to stop the run. Just plain and simple.
All right, thank you.
All right, next go to Scott.
Hey, Alex, how'd the quad feel coming back after missing time, and just how difficult was that having to sit out for those 3 games?
It was very difficult. I mean, nobody wants to sit out. That's what I want to say. Me personally, I don't like sitting out. I don't. I tried to come back, for the San Fran game, but just with the history of quad strains and stuff like that, there could be one wrong move and you can re-aggravate. Now you're back sitting out 3 more weeks, and just trying to take the risk. So just me talking with the training staff and stuff like that, we just decided it was best, just be patient, and whenever you're comfortable, just let us know. But we are going to be keeping an eye out for you just in case. So, but one, I hated coming back in cold weather. I hated that. But also it was more of I didn't care about my quad. It's like I signed up to play a game of football. Like, there's gonna be nicks and bruises. It's gonna be injuries. It's gonna, like, at the end of the day, as long as you mentally tough, then I'm not worried about my quad. I'm worried about going out there and helping my team, make plays and stuff like that. So the more I warmed up, the more better I felt. I didn't really think about it and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm just happy to be back out there on the field.
Thanks.
All right, next we'll go to Tony.
Hey, Alex, I just wanted to clarify something on this sack. Were you awarded a half a sack by the coaches today in film review?
The crazy part, what happened in film, he looked at me and he looked at Miles and he looked at me again. And I said, you know what? It is what it is, man. As long as we get the quarterback down, I don't care who gets the sack. I mean, it would be good to go towards my stats, but I don't care about stats. That's not my thing. I've never been the type of person to, I need to get this, I need to get that, I need to get like my thing is my main idea since high school was the quote unquote kill the man with the football. So just having that little moment in there with Miles, it was just like, we looked at it, we rewinded it back, we put it in slow motion to see who got to him first and stuff like that. I could plead my case as much as I want to, but he's gonna plead his case. But at the end of the day, we just happy we got him down. Like it's a friendly competition, and we always say that even with Miles as freakish of an athlete is, I always make jokes of, I'm having a party at the quarterback, like you gonna pull up or what I'm saying, stuff like that. So just having that type of competitive nurture about us and just being out there on the field, that just show what type of chemistry we have, like rushing the quarterback.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, next Mary Kay.
Yes, Alex. Kevin told us today that that Shedeur Sanders is going to be the starter for the final 4 games of the season. And just wondering from a defensive standpoint, what does that mean to you, just with the energy and the lift that he kind of brings over there?
He brings an energy of his own. Like Shadour's been the same person since he stepped foot in Cleveland. Like there's nothing changed about him. He's always the happy-go-lucky person that's in the locker room, always shaking people's hands, making jokes and stuff like that. And then when it's time to put on the pads and put on the helmet, it's time to work. Like even when I come into the facility, I see him in the office every day with Coach Stefanski, like just going over film and stuff like that. So it's unnoticeable. It's noticeable on my part because I'm an observant person. When I come in, I don't really say much. I don't really because I'm not a morning person, so I keep my head down and stuff like that. But I see him in there asking questions, and he's not afraid to ask questions. So just for him to be that poised rookie and stuff like that, that's not afraid to go out there and throw the football. Of course, he's a rookie. There's always gonna be mistakes in the game of football. There's always gonna be missed assignments. There's always gonna be missed opportunities and stuff like that. That's just part of it. It's the fact that you could go up and do it again the next play. So I feel like with Shedeur, we just gonna take the next steps. We're gonna be behind them, and just keep keep cheering him and keep telling him to be who he is. So at the end of the day, I got nothing but love for Shedeur. And I just want him to see just like everybody else on the team.
And then if you don't mind, we also found out today that Ethan Posich is out for the season with a ruptured Achilles. And I'm sure that I'm sure you feel really, really bad for him. So just wondering, what is your reaction to that for him?
Heartbreaking. It's kind of you never, me personally, I know how it feels to hear that out for the season. Like, so, the main thing is just he was in the training room today. He was in high spirits. So, I just know it's gonna be a long journey for him. But knowing Ethan as a person, he may not say much. He may be, the type person. If you say something, he'll say something back. But one thing about Ethan, he'll always have his stuff together. He's always one of the first ones dressed out there working on stuff. Like he's one of the epitome of like a vet that knows how this works. He knows what to do. He knows what to do in certain situations. He's just one of those vets that you go to if you need advice and stuff like that. So for him, I know he's gonna take the rehab and stuff like that. So I have no doubt. But just to hear it, out for the season, it's kind of like a stab to the chest because that's one of our nucleus of the team. So
Thank you.
Okay, next we're to Cam.
Hey, Alex, I know you guys play hard for each other every week, and doesn't matter whether you're
Mm.
in playoff contention or not. But you personally, I know guys have to find motivation at this point of a season. What do you personally play for? What is your motivation when you know that mathematically, statistically, you cannot make a playoff?
The name on my back and where I'm from. I feel like it's just you got people that look up to you. And my mama will always say, you got people that you don't even know. You got kids that you don't know that look up to you. The thing is with me, it just plays an aspect of, the kids, my family, the friends, the support people, back from college and stuff like that. But also the fact that that's not how I was raised. Like, I'm not raised to quit. I don't care if we're down 40. I don't care if we're down 3 and they're about to nail the ball out. I don't care. That's not my nature to quit. It's never been my nature to quit. And I don't, quit on my teammates. I don't quit on the coaches. I don't quit on anybody. That's just me. I'm not gonna give up. Just because you're not making the playoffs, yeah, that sucks. But at the end of the day, it's still film. That's still film out there. Like, you don't want to look at yourself on film and know that you're not giving 100% because now you're cheating yourself and you're cheating the team. And that's what I don't condone. I don't condone nobody else doing that, and I wouldn't condone myself doing that because at the end of the day, I am our hardest critic. So win, lose, or draw, 91 is still gonna be the same person regardless. So that's just my will, and that's just who I am. I'm a never say die attitude. Like I said, with the injury, I was mad that I couldn't come back for San Fran. Like, I was heated. So just for me to have that type of drive, like, I just want to be that type of energy person just to spread that out in the D-line room. Like, and that's something we spoke about today. These last 4 games are important because this drives into next year.
Thank you, Alex.
All right, last call for questions for Alex. Mary Kay, you have another one or you're good?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, thank you.
Okay. All right, thanks, Alex. Appreciate it. All right, guys, we have Dylan Sampson on deck if you want to get questions together. All right, guys, we have Dylan Sampson here. If you have a question, raise your hand. Mary Kay, are you good to go?
Yep.
All right.
Hey, Dylan, we heard from Kevin Stefanski today that he has named Shedeur Sanders the starter for the final 4 games of the season. And I'm just wondering, what impact does that have on you personally and maybe, you guys just as a football team?
I mean, we're still gonna go and prepare the same way we've been preparing, like how he's been named the starter these past 2 games. All we have is this week, so we just gonna prepare like, we've been preparing.
And just what, I know I talked to you a little bit about this yesterday, but just what have you seen, where have you seen the most growth in him over the past 3 starts?
Just, him getting comfortable within the scheme and stuff, but I feel like mainly just building the chemistry with, just our offense, our skill players, our offensive line. I can see that growing day in, day out at practice, and you can see it showing up in the game.
Thank you.
All right, next we go to Kim.
Dylan, you mentioned that chemistry on the offense for you guys in the run game. How have you seen maybe in games that the run game isn't able to get going and you enter that next week of preparation? How do you see you guys kind of working together to try to build on that, to try to find maybe blocking lanes for you guys to create some of that chemistry to improve it in the next week?
Yeah, I think it just starts with the preparation, have to, dissect Chicago's film and, really see what they do well and kind of what they lack against. And just taking every practice and every day intentional, meeting with the O-line, making sure we're all on the same point. When it gets time to Sunday, it's just, about effort and physicality. And we have full trust that collectively we'll be able to do that.
How big of a challenge then is it to when all the injuries to the offensive line, Ethan Posick out for the season now, and the kind of the change at tackles and guard? How difficult is that chemistry, and what does that look like for you guys as you have swapped in offensive linemen trying to work with them?
Yeah, nobody ever wants to see like an injury, like Pose. I pray that, he heals up, and in great time and quickly. But definitely playing that O-line position is a hard position to play, especially that center position. You kind of lead the charge, you make the calls, and you bring all those guys together. So those five up front, it's one of the only positions who don't sub out during the game. So it's a testament to the chemistry that you build, and you build from off season to the season, So it's a physical position. You have to be smart to play that position. But it's the league. You're gonna deal with injuries, and now it's time for guys to step up and take advantage of their opportunity. And we have full confidence that they will.
Thank you.
All right, next go to Ashley.
Hey, Dylan, I know I talked to you yesterday about that next play mentality you have after a play like the fumble, and then you come back and, next drive, have some successful gains. But like Quinshawn, since you've worked so much with him, when there's that moment with the Wildcat, it doesn't work out at the end of the game like that. Like, how are you trying to pick him up as somebody you've spent a lot of time with and handling a moment like that?
I think sometimes, it's just when you develop connections with players, I mean, he's the type of person where, sometimes you don't need to say anything. I know that moment kind of hurt because it was almost like there is no like next play mentality, with that play. But all you could do is come in the next day and you let everybody know that we got your back. The same way my teammates did with me. Nobody wants to mess up. Nobody, we don't like do this intentionally. It's gonna happen. Plays are gonna be made. So, now it's about just adjusting and bouncing back this week. And Quinshawn, like we built that relationship where I know what it is with him. And he know what it is with me. So we lift each other up, and we just keep making sure we're ready to go mentally and physically.
And then just for you in the pass game yesterday, I know you caught 5 of 6 targets, and you've had other games like that where you catch like all your targets or all but one of your targets. Can you just talk about your connection with Shedeur on some of those plays? And you've talked before about when you went through that stretch of not getting a ton of touches, how important it is for you to capitalize when they come your way.
Yeah, so it's a fine line you got to walk because you don't want to make yourself feel too much pressure or make the moment bigger than what it is. It just goes back to routine. If there's certain routes that I have in the game plan or certain things that I know we practice on, Shedeur pulled me after practice and we work on them. Work on the landmarks, work on the different looks. And so when it comes in the game, it's just a routine thing. When we get the look that we want, it's something we practice. He talks in the huddle. He talks to me when we get out the huddle, like go win on this route. I got you, stuff like that, So, I mean, we got somebody like that. It's like, you got to make a play, So, it's definitely nice having that, but it's just due to the work that we put in prior to game day.
All right, next go to Jeff.
Hey, Dylan, how would you chart your own progress through 13 games now?
I could definitely see consistent growth, just been kind of up and down battle kind of throughout the middle of the stretch of the season with playing time and stuff. But I could definitely, feel me getting my feet in the ground, getting more comfortable in this league, and I'm continuing to grow each and every game, so I'm learning from the positives and the negatives, so I think I'm definitely trending in the right direction.
And then blitz pickup and the blocking that we don't concentrate on, how has that improved for you?
I think when I do get an opportunity to either help chip or pick up blitz or recognize blitz, it's not a problem. I'm gonna go in there and give my all to make sure that that person doesn't touch our quarterback.
All right, thank you.
Right, and last one from Scott.
Hey, Dylan, the rookie class, as I've said, such a huge impact. But there's been ups and downs. We saw some of those yesterday. Do you think that's just natural that there's going to be growing pains when you're playing as many rookies as you guys are?
Yes, it's definitely. I mean, you have at one point on the field, all the skill players were rookies besides Jerry Jeudy. I mean, but I don't think there's any other team whose rookies are contributing as much as this. just collectively. So I mean, coaches understand it, but it's not an excuse. We go to practice, we go to work. It's time to grow. And I believe that is what we're doing. Week in, week out. But we got each other back, and we just gonna keep on growing and climbing. And continue to try to impact this team in a positive way.
You hear that phrase, he's not a rookie anymore because he's been in the league, because it's week, whatever. Do you still feel like a rookie though out there?
I never even tried to feel like that. I just always felt like a football player, just trying to learn and take my game to another level, and that's all it is. I mean, even if it's not a whole bunch of rookies out there, it's still other people who are liable to make those same mistakes. Who've been in the league for 6 years, 7 years. It's football, and ultimately it comes down to did you make the play when you needed to make the play? That's the difference between a lot of these close games. And I believe we will continue to grow in that area and make those plays and not give up those negative plays, when they need to happen.
Thank you.